All right, welcome. I'm sure you're excited as I am to finish up topic 2. It is a real thumper topic. Not super deep in a lot of things, but just cover just about everything. So main thing, essential idea, all life relies on photosynthesis. Although I should say almost all life, because you have deep sea trenches like the one in the Galapagos Islands, important for evolution, but also in 1977 a whole ecosystem was discovered that doesn't need photosynthesis at all. So ecosystem without the sun. So just using the energy from the heat of the earth and the chemicals coming out of the crust way down there is enough to sustain life. So astrobiology are really into this area of biology. Astrobiologists working for NASA and others, they're really interested in the Galapagos because that's probably how life has started or is now existing on other planets for sure in our own range that we can see. Anyway, it's the main provider of energy, and it uses sunlight to give the energy we need. And just in terms of nature of science, we've always in our experiments been focusing on controlling variables, and that's because if you're going to do an experiment, you must change one variable. We'll get more along that with part 2. Change one variable to see how it affects another. Sorry, it's been a long day. So for example, we got controlled variables. Everything stays the same. You got dependent variables. That's what you are measuring. And then you have independent. This is the one thing that you are changing. You, the researcher, change one thing. Nothing else changes. And that's the key. And that's what's so difficult, is being able to set up an experiment where only one thing changes. It's almost impossible, but that's how science is done. You're doing your best to control everything else and figure out if it works. Like right now, the drug hydrochloroquinone. They need to do studies to make sure that it's that drug that's helping people recover and not something else. And lo and behold, they figured it was something else that was happening. So, using carbon compounds, making carbon compounds using light energy. That's what photosynthesis is. And it's a metabolic, you probably heard of metabolism. A metabolic pathway. Okay, there's thousands, hundreds of thousands. This is just some. There's another one, happens to be one of the most important. And we don't have this, but plants do, and some bacteria. And CO2 and water used to make carbohydrates, sugar. And here's the equation. We've been working with this for a long time. You take CO2 and water, work it with sunlight, gives you that sugar, C6H12O6. Okay, the light energy goes from the sun into the glucose. So the glucose is making energy from the heat or the light that's hitting the chloroplast. It's a pretty awesome reaction. I mean, it's amazing. We talked about water splitting earlier, hydrolysis, and photosynthesis is called photolysis. The splitting of water, making that oxygen right here. Boom. And carbon is fixed, comes from the atmosphere here, and gets placed into sugar. Visible light, what we see, we normally call it white light. That's all the colors of the spectrum. And some of these, some of the molecules have more energy in them than others. So the highest energy are the shorter wavelengths over on this end of it, X-ray and UV light, ultraviolet. Maybe you can read that. High energy, lowest energy is down here near the red range, infrared and radio waves. Infrared, aka heat. Infrared's fancy way of saying heat. And the range of visible light, that is white light, is about 400 to 700 nanometers nm. Okay? Oh yeah, you see, all the wave, TV, radar, infrared, more energy, X-rays, gamma rays, which you know can cause cancer. There can be very destructive to human tissues. So chlorophyll loves red and blue. We've talked about that. It looks green. Chlorophyll is the main pigment, but you have xanthophyll and carotenoids. All right. And you'll see green light reflecting. Green light is reflected. You see the blue and the red are absorbed. And then go into the chloroplast and produce energy, produce sugar. White light is all wavelengths. Okay. And oh yeah, we mentioned photolysis, or I mentioned it earlier. We start with light energy, and it goes into chlorophyll and creates chemical energy. So just real basic, light, chlorophyll makes the energy, you know, in sugar, and you see the ADP comes and gets turned into ATP. That goes on to the second stage, the Calvin cycle. Oxygen is released, but also remember H+, and that goes into stage 2, also Calvin cycle. Yeah. Sorry about that. My kids have been, they got these little Nerf guns, and they've been sneaking in and assassinating me every once in a while. Anyway, I caught them this time before they got me. Last time I was dead, but I got them. Okay, so we covered that slide, which is everything. Awesome. Moving on to part. Oh, wait a second. No, I don't think so. It says there's slide. Yeah, slide 7. Man. Anyway, pretty quick though. You need energy to make these carbohydrates, obviously, and that energy comes from light. It can be the sun, can be artificial. You see the CO2 come here. Calvin cycle we mentioned before. Light dependent reactions. Light independent, which was yeah. Hold on. Okay. All right. My wife, she's I'm just making a video. She's delivering cats or trapping them. I don't know which one. Anyway, you see sugar being produced. Delicious. All right. That covers that graph or that diagram. Let's move on to the last one. So, gotta know what temperature, light intensity, and carbon dioxide do to the rate of photosynthesis. You'll see this one, whatever it is, it increases it to a point and then it levels off. More doesn't help, but it doesn't hurt it. This would be light intensity. And similar to that, going up, leveling off, is CO2 concentration. Because more doesn't hurt, doesn't help. Anyway, and rate of photosynthesis, if you see it go up and then go down, you know this is the ideal temperature. So this is temperature. Extreme heat's going to hurt it, extreme cold as well.